Hi, I'm Rod Gilley. I'm the founder and CEO of RDG Books and RDG Books Press. RDG Books Press officially opened October 5th, 2024. And our first submission run also opens on the same date, October 5th, and runs through December 30th, 2024. In this first submission run, we are seeking horror, short stories, and novellas. The criteria for our submissions is really very simple. There are some details on our website, rdgbookspress.com. So be sure to take a look at that. Under the process, there's also information about our royalty set up there as well. All right. I'm going to try to be as concise as I can, but I got a lot to go over here, so I'm going to run through it a little quick. But you can always back it up and take another look. All right, so first I want to talk about the short story submissions. So you go to our website, use the contact form, put in your name, your email, the word anthology, and the title of your story, and click send. When I receive that, I will send you an email address to send your short story to. Again, check the website for the requirements of a submitted story. Word document, double space, Times New Roman 12. So that's pretty simple. And if you haven't noticed by now, I've got a little bullet point cheat list here because I've been incredibly busy lately and I wouldn't remember all this stuff. So if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my little bullet point list. Okay, once we receive your short story, it will go into a file and I will have a spreadsheet that connects all authors with the stories they sent, with the titles of their stories. Now, when the document, the Word doc, your manuscript, when it goes into the file, the author's name will be removed. The reason for this is that my acquisitions team, we all have friends who are going to submit stories. And it's a big policy at RDG Books that we really evaluate a story by the story. Race, politics, sexuality, religion, none of that plays into it. Friend or foe doesn't play into it. The story you submit will be evaluated by the story itself. That's it. So you want to get accepted, simply write a really good story. Now, as far as the outline of the story, you can write any kind of story in any kind of setting. I don't want to limit a writer's creativity. The only requirement is it be a scary story, because I like scary stories. All right. Now, depending on the number of submissions we get, the horror anthology is originally intended to have 10 short stories. It could go up to 15 short stories. And if we get enough submissions, we may do a volume 1, volume 2, maybe even a volume 3. So I will have information as we go. If you didn't make volume 1, you might make volume 2. It depends on how many submissions we get. The best estimate I've been able to get so far is anywhere between 1 submission and 500. RDG Books Press, brand new company, a small company. I guess you would call us a micro publisher. My wife likes to call it a tiny house. I kind of like that. Okay, try to get back on track here. I'm bad for that. I worked 17 hours yesterday, and I'm on a good solid 14 or 15 hour day today. So if I'm a little punchy, please forgive me. Okay. Now, as in regard to the short stories, it is our goal that all the short stories will be read and evaluated by January 28th. And acceptance letters, along with the contracts, will be sent out by January 31st. Those are important dates, writers, so please jot those down. That's pretty much what I can cover at the moment on the short story submissions. Again, there's more information on our website, rdgbookspress.com. In addition, all submitting authors are added to our monthly email, and all changes in the company, things to expect, announcements, delays, anything that comes up will be in that monthly email. So that way you're always aware of what we're up to. So submitting authors are automatically added to that email. If at this time you're not submitting a story, but you would like to know what's going on in RDG Books Press, then go to rdgbooks.com. There's a contact form at the bottom of the first page. Just fill that out and put in there that I'd like to be on your email list. And we'll make sure you're on the list. Okay, I'm going to do a quick commercial because, well, YouTube does commercials on our videos. Why can't I? Here it is. Just a quick note that the first 2 books published at RDG Books Press, on the screen now I hope, are available at Amazon.com in both ebook and paperback. The second book is available for pre-order until October 29th when it will be released. So please give those a look. I'll have links down in the description. I'll have links to the websites I mentioned. So down in the description of this video, you'll be able to find that kind of stuff. Also, and this applies to everyone that's interested in our press, if you have any questions, just put them in the comments and we'll answer them as quickly as we can. So with that said, I'm going to move on to the novellas. Again, the novellas, just like the short stories, we're looking for a good scary story. It could be on a spaceship, another planet, an imaginary world, or New York City. I don't want to hold anybody's creativity and imagination back. Your story can be anywhere with any kind of characters. What really matters is I want a good scary story. I want to be startled or frightened or goosebumps. Something good. All right. So things specific to the novellas. Again, go to the contact form on rdgbookspress.com and fill in your name, your email, but in this case you'll put novella in the title of your story. Then just click send. When I receive that, I will send you an email and it will have the request for an overview of your story. And this, I don't want a synopsis. I don't want anything that formal. Just imagine you walked into a coffee shop, saw one of your best friends, sat down, and you were telling them about your story. That's it. Just give me a little 3 or 4 paragraph overview of your story. Just real simple. In addition to that, I will ask for the first 20 pages of your novella. And you send both of those in to us, and they'll be evaluated by my acquisitions team. Those who accepted, I will write and send a acceptance letter along with a contract. Once we get the contract signed, we're going to business. Okay. Again, there are details here. There are details on rdgbookspress.com. There are details in the monthly email. And of course, every fine-tooth detail will be in the contracts. Nothing left to chance or imagination. We'll make sure that the author knows firmly what they're signing. Okay? There's no tricks at RDG Books, period. Okay. One thing I want to touch on real quick is our royalty structure. I've had a couple of writers that I chat with on Twitter say that some people may not understand the difference of what the industry generally does and what RDG Books Press does. So very quickly, I'd like to try to explain that. I don't know if you can see it on the screen. On a cell phone, it might be too small. But the general ballpark, or I don't know, the general explanation is really pretty simple. As far as I know, and believe me, I don't know everything, but the industry overall in publishing books offers a net royalty. if I'm not mistaken, the Big Five and many of their imprints will offer a royalty of something like 12 to 15%. And they do provide an advance. And that's a net royalty. And what that means is the book goes out and sells. Now let's say it sells $1,000 just for the sake of this video. If the book sells enough to reach $1,000, the publishing house pays for the editing, the formatting, the cover, and all the other production things that are involved. Once those things are all paid for, if there's any money left over, and sometimes there isn't, especially with a new author and especially early on. If there's nothing left over, the author gets nothing. But in this example, let's say there's $100 left over. Depending on what your royalty agreement is, if it's 12%, then out of that $100, you would get $12. If it's 20%, then out of that $100 that's left over, you would get $20. So I hope that's real simple to understand. Now, here's the comparison. This is what RDG Books Press does. Okay, same $1,000 in sales. Okay, keep that in mind. Because that way it's an equal comparison between other presses and RDG Books Press. But the difference in our press is you're not paid in advance. If you're offered any money, that is a payment, not an advance. That's money in your pocket, period. You will earn royalties from the very first book sold. So as soon as your book sells, you're stacking up royalties. You don't have to cover in advance. So if we make a monetary offer for your book, that is money in your pocket, period. And as soon as your book is on the market and it begins to sell, you are immediately earning royalties. Now the big comparison difference here is that RDG Books Press offers a 10% gross royalty. Significantly different than the royalties I was talking about earlier. The way it works at RDG Books Press is your book sells. Now for this example, $1,000 in sales. Right off the top, before we do anything else, first thing, the author is paid 10% of the gross, $100. And that's at least 5 times the previous example, 5 times more money for the author. And the reason for that is RDG Books Press, we do the same thing. We have to cover the editing, formatting, cover art, and all the other details that go involved in publishing a book. But we cover all of that out of our share. So we pay you first. We pay our bills out of our share of the royalties. So I know this might have went a little long, but I was really hoping to clear that up so that all the writers clearly understand what our royalty deal is, because I think it's something unique and exceptional. And I hope you agree. Okay, moving on. As I said before on the novellas, on this current submissions run, you submit them, as I said, and then we will ask for an overview and the first 20 pages, and we'll evaluate that and let you know if you're accepted. Okay. I want to have the novella acceptance letters and contracts. They will be sent out by February 28th. Now, these dates are tentative. Life happens to pretty much all of us. No matter how well we plan things, things come up and, well, schedules get shifted a little bit. But I do intend to have the acceptance letters and contracts for the short stories out by January 31st, and the acceptance letters and contracts for the novellas out by February 28th. So, that's our goal anyway. Now, I do want to mention that I personally don't like at all receiving rejection letters. I'm on Twitter a lot. Twitter's sort of my home sweet home of social media. A lot of great writer friends on there. And pretty much every day, I see posts where writers receive rejection letters, and the worst of which are a form letter. Well, RDG Books Press doesn't do that at all. And the reason for that is, why should I spend my time writing a letter I don't want to write to send to a writer who doesn't want to receive it? RDG Books Press is small. We're just starting out. I don't have the manpower to send out 400 personalized rejection letters. Not going to happen. So, the dates that I mentioned. If you've been accepted, you'll know it because you'll have an acceptance letter and a contract. If you have not received an acceptance letter by the dates I mentioned, then, for now, your story was not accepted. I do invite you to submit in future submission runs, and I will be putting out calls for novels as soon as possible. Now, at the moment, here it is October 1st, my plan is hopefully June, maybe July. I'd like to open our second submission run, which will be fantasy stories. I like wizards, elves, trolls, any kind of magical creature in any kind of world. So I will put out a call in June or July for fantasy writers to submit their very best. Every date in this video is tentative, but it is the goal at the moment. It is the target for our company. We take it seriously, and we'll do everything we can to meet these goals. The final thing I want to talk about is very quick, but I hope it's exciting. It is our goal to publish all of these books. If we end up doing Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3 of the anthology, and we're planning to do at least 3 novellas, I want to try to have all of them published and out in the market during 2025. Now again, life happens. Some of these books may float into 2026. So I hope this gives all the writers out there a good understanding and a good set of expectations for RDG Books Press. I want to welcome every writer who submits. This is just the beginning, and I think it's going to be a great future. I look forward to meeting you all. If you're not a writer and you just like videos, I hope you enjoyed this one. Again, I honestly tried to be concise. If you know me at all, I tend to chatter. Well, that's all I've got for today. I sure hope this video was helpful. Leave comments, any question you may have. Let me know if you think I did well in this video. Whatever you like. If you're on Twitter, I'm at BratRod64. You can certainly leave comments, and if I know you at all, you can DM me. I don't know how it all works, but I'm on Twitter. So what I'm trying to say is RDG Books Press is wide open. Our process is clearly stated in our website, rdgbookspress.com. And we're more than happy to answer any question. So with that said, that's all I've got. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.